Okay, we're almost ready. Anybody calling in? There's Daniel. Hi, Daniel. No, great.
I'm both virtual and in person. I feel like I'm overachieving at this point.
Okay, I'm gonna get started.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, it's that time. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We've got a quorum. And so I think what we'll do is we'll take roll call, and if we could start with Shelley and then go around. And we've got some guests, then they can introduce themselves after the commission introduces themselves. So go ahead.
Start with me.
Yeah.
Tracy's
Tracy.
member.
Tracy, sorry.
It's all right. It's all good.
Yeah.
Rick, member. Rick Hines, member.
Logan Dunning, member.
Mike Chisholm, member.
Mel, staff liaison, present.
Elizabeth Shaw, member.
Gerald, member.
Monica Garcia, alternate member. Christine Brinker, member.
And I'm Samuel Bonjur. Welcome. Thank you. All right.
You want to do online?
Othaniel. Who are you, Othaniel?
Hi, everyone. Othaniel Sierra, Council Liaison.
Great. Thanks for showing up. We'll get things rolling here. Welcome guests. Last month's minutes. Everybody have a chance to look at them? Do we have any questions, concerns, modifications? If we're okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Great. Okay, upcoming tasks and events. We've got standing community projects. I know we've asked Rick to speak. Logan, do you have anything to say in this?
Yes, I can give a quick update.
Okay.
On the communications front with the magazine, we need to have, just based off last year's calendar, that goes to print the middle of October. So we need to have a standing item next week to vote on at next month's meeting to finalize what our subcommittee brings to the table, meaning the subcommittee will need to meet before the September meeting. So Mel, I will work with you one-on-one to get that set up. We'll have that meeting and then vote to approve, have a quick discussion and vote to approve those topics to send to the communications team.
Sounds good. Is everybody comfortable with that? You guys have got that thing pretty well streamlined.
Trying.
I like that.
Trying. And that is
Very organized.
that is that's the winter edition. Just
It's the winter.
yeah. So we'll need to think about topics that we want to put out into the public sphere of things to think about as we go into winter.
Great.
I loved y'all's composting piece and everything in the magazine. I thought it turned out so well.
Yeah, it was great.
Great job.
Good show. Good show. Okay. Another item. I'm going to turn the floor over to Rick. Just want to get clarification among us on the bond issue, sustainability ramifications or pieces of it. It's been a bouncing ball. It kind of moves every 2 or 3 days. So we asked Rick to give us his best rendition of where are we today, Rick? What do we need to know, or what should we be thinking about?
Well, let me start by saying that literally it's a hot off the press thing right now, what's going on with the overall. As many of you may know or don't know, the bond issue was put together by the city and is an effort to improve primarily park areas, to do maintenance work on parks as well as additional work covering both parks as well as some of the facilities, for instance, Pirates Cove and the rec center. So the different pieces of this were put together by Parks and Rec as a plan to address a number of issues, both maintenance issues as well as expansion issues. Did everybody get, I ran like 10 of these, did everybody get a copy of this?
There's some over here.
This is what was finalized with council a week ago Monday and approved it on second reading as far as the what will be put on the ballot. The ballot language is the third page there, And so that's what will be officially on the ballot, assuming a couple of things. And if you're not familiar with what has been happening, there were 2 citizen initiatives that have been brought forth, which could potentially, as things were, bump the bond issue from the ballot, in which case it would take another 2 years before we could put another bond issue out there. That issue was addressed by council, and Mr. Mayor, jump in if I'm saying things incorrectly or if you want to clarify anything on this, because you were obviously there. There were a couple of discussion points and amendments that were made with council to proceed forward. Right now, however, 2 things are happening. One, and I got information back from Sean, who is the city manager. I asked him what was going on with things, and his response was, yesterday, the city of Inglewood filed a complaint in Arapahoe District Court seeking a declaratory judgment that would allow us to place both the GO bond and the citizen-initiated charter measures on the November ballot. If we are granted this judgment, the bond measure can proceed along with the charter initiatives. If the court upholds the current interpretation of charter as it relates to Tabor provisions, which prevents us from having both on the ballot at the same time, we will not be able to have the GO bond on the ballot. I hope this is helpful. So it is in process right now, essentially, and I started reading through this thing. It's basically Stephanie Carlisle who is our clerk, is what can we say, suing Mr. Mayor, the city? I mean, is that the way this thing is happening, or is it?
Well, yeah, so basically it was a decision by council in order to try to get both the citizen initiatives and the GO bond on the ballot. So that was the only way we can do it. And so you're right, Stephanie is suing the city, but obviously it was directed by council. So
Right,
this is
exactly.
just to appease the citizens and just try to get everything on the ballot, because obviously Charter and Tabor are kind of at odds with each other, and so this was the best way that we can move forward. And we are expecting a decision by September 6th in order to, at that point, we'll know whether or not we can have both on the ballot.
Okay, thank you. What I did, I did put together the line item budget considerations for the bond. Basically, you can kind of look through that. You can see where the money is being spent. Some of it is maintenance and some of it is expansion. The council agreed, I think, 6-1 to proceed with this. So it is moving, assuming everything goes smoothly, it is moving to the ballot. I was not privy, and maybe you can address this, Mike. There were some limitations being put on the native plant aspect of this. Is that correct?
Yeah, and Mel, you mentioned that to me in a phone call, and then I looked through the materials. What was the 10% cap? Or where did that come from, or what's that all about?
Yeah, so from my understanding, it was like, I think it's funding, and again, Mayor, I hope you can fill in what I'm getting wrong. I think it's the funding is a 10% gap for native plants, so just putting an actual percentage to it.
The way that I understand it was the 10% was related to the amount of area within a park, with each park cannot exceed 10%. There were motions by, actually, I don't think that there was a motion by council member, but there was an ask to try to get it down to 5, and I don't think it was seconded. But there was just concern from members of council based off of feedback from members of the public that they just did not want to see too much xeriscaping or native plants and the removal of grass from a large percentage of our parks. So that was the concern. This was the compromise made in order to limit the amount of native plants. But it was based on area, not based on dollars.
So it was 10% of the geography, not the dollars? Yep.
Correct. The way
Okay.
that I understood it was based off of area.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. Does anybody have a problem with that? I mean,
Would that be
I think
10% of the green space or the total area, like including basketball courts and?
The way that I understood it were the actual parks themselves and not necessarily open fields or open green space that is not considered part of a park. If that makes sense.
And one of the things that I ran into over the last few weeks was there was sort of a pushback that, I don't want to be too sarcastic, but it was almost as if an argument was out there that there was a concern that the city was going to rip up acres of lawn and put in low water plants. And so I'm comfortable with some criteria on there saying, we are not going to tear up every baseball field in Englewood. So I think that was a good response, unless anybody has a problem with it.
I have a question. What was was there a cost reduction realized, bringing it down to 10%?
I'm assuming that the question is being directed to me. I don't believe so. I don't think that there were actual specific dollar amounts appropriated for at least the native plants that I recall. I know that some of the pocket parks, there was a sizable amount of the pocket parks that may have become native plants, but if you look at from the original design of about $50 million, that was cut back quite a bit just because of looking at bring back the dollar amount overall for the Go bond funding. So I think we landed on 42 million. So I guess in a sense there was about 8 million that we didn't look at, with a sizable portion of that being native planting and other type of features.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just trying to understand the impetus behind that number. It seems a little arbitrary, but yeah, I would agree with Mike. Thankful for the 10%. Like Mel said earlier, it's better than nothing. It seems minimal.
And I can follow up with Parks too to see if they can give some data on that.
Yeah, just the why.
That'd be good.
That'd be helpful.
This thing is, Mr. Mayor, it's at 41.5 million. Is that the bond at this point, do you know?
That sounds about right. It was, I probably went up to 42 million, but yeah, that sounds just about right.
Right in that area. So what they're looking at based upon that is going to be right in the range of an increase of increase to the citizens of $133.50 per year based upon a $500,000 valuation of a home. Okay. So that's what they're looking at right now. Also, just regarding the details, you see details in this, and I think, were these put together by a consultant agency, Mr. Mayor, in terms of how the numbers broke out based upon, do you recall, is that how these numbers came up?
It could have, in terms of like the 133 for every 500,000.
Yeah, well, I'm referring more to the individual items on the budget itself. Was that done through someone who?
So I think the actual dollar amounts for the associated improvements for each park, I think, was done by staff. I don't think that we brought in a consultant for that aspect of it. I think in terms of the 133 by 500 may have been a figure given by our bond council. But I think the actual individual amounts came from staff.
Okay, thank you. It's important to know, and if you're talking with people in your neighborhood about this, is that if they're thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to spend X amount of dollars on something, that's crazy. Let them know that there's lots of follow-up discussions that will be held with the neighborhoods that are affected by these in terms of input from citizens about how much they want to do specifically. I see this as more of a big bucket. It's a bucket that they're going to be working off of to make sure that they can achieve generally the goals that they have put forth in this. And so a lot of this will be hashed out over time as to what is going to happen, where and when it's going to happen. There's a long schedule for this. I mean, this goes, I think, 10, 15 years, doesn't it, Mr. Mayor, in terms of how long it's going to take some of these to happen?
No, so the bond itself would be for 20 years. The improvements would have to start within the first 3 years. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they had to complete it within 3 years. I thought they were gunning for it. That's what I thought she had said.
3-year completion.
That's what yeah, but I'm sure that I misheard. But I thought she said that they had to complete the work within 3 years.
Okay.
That's a big difference from 20, so maybe I should have questioned it.
I remember hearing that the 10% might be flexible depending on the input from the immediate neighborhood. So I assume that means neighbors could argue for it to be less. Do you know if they could also argue for it to be more? Is the 10% meant to be a guideline across all parks or per park?
Christine, that's a good question. I would have to look at the wording of it. I know that my original recommendation was to allow the neighborhood themselves to dictate how big of a patch should be native plants. That didn't get full approval, but I know that we were still kind of talking about having neighbor input regarding parks. I think 10% is the maximum amount, so it just depends on the wording, and I could go back and look at how we had that worded, Christine.
I can add that to my follow-up list with parks too.
Okay.
I would request, and maybe Mel, you can make a mental note of this. On the optimistic side, if the bond passes and native plants start to get planted, I would want this group to be in the know, not that we have to approve or disapprove anything, but to the extent that our neighbors and friends might ask us, what the heck's going on in Cushing Park? Or what are they, we should be able to answer those questions. So again, on the optimistic side, if this thing unfolds, I hope we can get parks to give us the lowdown on why are we doing this instead of that, or why is it, just because I can imagine there could be some consternation in the neighborhoods if they don't know why they're tearing up that corner of the park at the end of the street, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the many, but one of the big benefits of having commissions is that you all get this information and can disperse it. So
Right.
in my opinion, absolutely. I think that's what this group is here for.
Great.
The last thing I'd mention is that the council session that did the second approval reading on it a week ago Monday, if you go back to that, within that, they have the link that goes to the card deck and all of the information, all of the pictures of all the parks. It's much more detailed. And I would recommend you taking a look at that, and you can even print some of that stuff out or that kind of thing, because it's much more detailed than what I could put together or present today.
Where is this?
This was within the information on the agenda for Monday, a week ago Monday's council meeting. It's a link on there, and it's down in where they did the second approval for the bond. And so all you have to do is click on it. It'll open up exactly what council was looking at, and so you can see each park, park by park, what the modifications are going to be.
Thanks.
If it's the same one I'm thinking of, because the neighborhood leadership group got a presentation by Parks, and I think it was that. Because it was really cool to kind of see the detailed description and pictures and all of that, so.
Yeah, there's a lot there. We had it a few months ago. Actually, Adrian came in and Brad, and they gave us a presentation back then also on it.
Any other questions?
Can I just do a quick follow-up to what you were talking about educating people? Because I did get a neighborhood improvement grant, and it is for a native plant,
Great.
area, and it's going to be in Baird Park, which is right next to Charles Hay. So I'll be doing that sometime in October, and it's going to be like a neighborhood thing. And so a lot of that is kind of educating people about what it can look like and how it's a good, a mesh between the green space and the native plants and how they can kind of commingle. And so I'm excited, but that's, I think that'll be good.
So there will be digging in October?
Yes, I will give you the date and all the specifics.
Well, maybe
as I get them.
we could do some volunteer assistance if it gets to that point.
Yeah. Kind of
let us know. Okay.
That also might be a cool thing to reference in your article. Your For the newsletter. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Good point.
like information about native plants.
Yeah, or go look at it. Cause it'll be out by the time, right? Maybe?
It'll be
And you
mid-October.
didn't have to dip into the $500,000.
There'll be a sign up, because I'm working with,
Yeah, maybe just like,
Like,
connecting all the
coming
dots, right?
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're coming soon. The trailer.
Good job, thank you.
It's cool.
Okay, let's move on. Where are we next on the agenda?
We're at follow-ups from the July meetings. This is
Take it away.
moi. So I feel like we had such great conversation last meeting about things to improve on and just the sustainability program in general. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to do some follow-ups to that feedback. So the first one is the why that we had for the, and I put in quotes the survey because I think we established that it's not a survey, it's a feedback channel. But something I think I really missed the mark on last meeting was emphasizing really why and the importance of having a feedback channel for residents. So yes, I have a background in an undergrad in sustainability, master's in sustainability, and experience in that, but that doesn't mean that I know everything that the community will need for sustainability. That really should be coming from the community for these things. And I was listening to this audiobook not even a few weeks ago, Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. And he was telling the story about how there was this engineering company, they were like the top in the country, and they had this problem and they didn't know how to solve it. And one of the engineers was like, why don't we just ask like people and see if they can debunk it? And the boss was like, we're the top engineering company. Like if we can't get it, no one can. And lo and behold, strangers debunked the problem. And I just say that to show that like no individual person, no individual organization have all the answers to solve every problem. And that's why getting feedback from the community of what's working, what's not working is so important in my opinion. So it's the feedback form is not because we don't know where we're going, because we don't know what next steps are. It's really just to hear from the community about things that they want. So I feel like I didn't say that last meeting. I was just like, we have this feedback form, but that essentially is at the core of why we have it. Is it a survey? Absolutely not, but it's a channel to hear from people about what they like. And then the other feedback from that, again, changing the word ranking to be removed because that truly is just not helpful. And then in 2025, doing a more data seeking one and kind of having more intention go into it. So any discussion or comments from that one?
Thanks for being receptive to our feedback.
Yeah, it was
Thank
so,
you.
honestly, you guys are like, I think I said it before because I'm a team of essentially one. You guys are like my extended team and it's so helpful and the feedback is so, so appreciated.
Thank you for that explanation because that answers a lot of my questions.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So the other one that we discussed about was sustainability presence at more events, which I could not agree more on. I would love to see sustainability at every single event. Again, the thing that I said last time, it's just this capacity ceiling of me and Aiden. I will say we have put Aiden to work. He has already been at many events. But something that we're taking the feedback of like, we want to see more sustainability at events. Something we're working on is a sustainability program brochure saying like what the program is, who Aiden and I are, and just like a better tangible explanation of it for folks. And we're going to give that to the ambassador team. Have folks heard about the ambassador team for the city? This is a great time to learn about that. So this was started this year. I think this was the brainchild of Sean, the city manager, of just, we kind of had situations like this where like so much information had to go out, but sometimes people can't be at events and sometimes things just need to get out and they're missing. So we started this ambassador team at the city. It's a volunteer staff that go to events and they're a table and they disperse any information that we think is relevant. And they've been so helpful and it's been really successful. So we're working on a brochure to give them, so even if Aiden or I can't go to an event, there'll be some kind of touch point with sustainability. But then I was thinking of other ways and I didn't know feedback from the commission. If in 2025 you all wanted to do kind of like a sign up if there were folks missing or like us not at the certain events. and it would be completely voluntary. But that was the most creative I got on more presence of sustainability at events.
Are these events that you presented at this year?
Yeah, and honestly, they're not all of them. They're the ones that I could think of on the top of my head. But what I like about them is you can see that like a minimum of one per month, sometimes multiple per month, we're going to and we're interacting with the community. So we're hitting them, right? It's not like we're not at things. It's just we can't be at every single event. That's just not feasible.
I would say that if you were going to do a sign up for, if we could volunteer, I would be very interested and volunteer my husband. No, I'm just kidding. I would be.
Volunteer, that's what I need in my partner.
Yeah,
like, you're going to this.
But yeah, like I like the idea of, hey, we can't make it. Do you guys want to, anybody want to volunteer to be at this event? I would say yes, that would be a great opportunity. I would like that opportunity.
Yeah, I like that idea just because it gives you kind of a, foreseeing into the future, like, okay, I can probably do something in October, or I could do something in March, and so really knowing when those events are. We used to do that in school where like teachers had to sign up for something, so at the beginning of the school year, it's like, okay, what dance do you want to do? None of them. Okay, what's next?
What dance are you willing to do?
You could, just sign up for something so you kind of know ahead of time instead of being sprung on you like the week before. It's like, oh, I can't do that. So I really like that idea.
Are we limited to 2 per event just for this?
Yeah, for the Cora, yeah. Unfortunately.
That's applicable to public events?
I'm pretty sure yes, but I don't want to say yes and be wrong, but I'll double check.
We're literally in the public.
Yeah, and this kind of came up at a different thing too for the Earth Day event. Because I was talking with our city attorney, I was like, I feel like a decent amount of commission members would be in attendance at the event. Like, does that trigger Cora? And there were 2 conflicting sides on it of information, so it gets messy. I think it would be 2, but I will double check on it. But I also think this could be a great way. I know we all mesh together so well, but I think this could be another way of like getting to know your fellow members more, like doing an event together without breaking Cora, which is nice.
I love your like positivity.
Try to spin the rules to make it fun,
I love the idea, Mel. I think it's good.
Kumbaya.
Cool. Well, I will set that up for 2025 unless you all want me to do the remainder of 2024. We're just kind of wrapping up with the fall. Completely up to you all, but.
We should hand out a sign-up sheet. I mean, should you something as simple as pass it around the room and say.
I can do something easier too of like if there's actually a full form or like a full online form, then you can go to it whenever you want and fill it out.
Like a Google form, and then you just update it.
Yep. What's through the end of the year?
Englewood Block Party.
Block Party.
August
That is in like 2
24th.
weeks, yes.
Yeah.
And I think there's some lingering ones. There's definitely some left.
Cool.
I feel like I should do one at least. So I don't know what that one is, but I feel like I need to do one by the end of the year. So you just give me a chart
I'll
or a
assign
list.
you one. I'll say, Mike, you're going
Sign
to
me
this
up.
Yeah, starting now doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. I will get that all straightened out and then have by no later than the next meeting.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
And then wrapping up for the final follow-ups. So this was such a great question. This shows how I'm just like, don't even understand what is sustainability jargon anymore. Someone last meeting was like, what even is the green workforce? That is a phenomenal question. So I'm adding that definition to the website just so people can go and they're not confused about what it is because it can be a little ambiguous. And I have the definition later on in one of these slides that we can go over. Mike said, what is the sustainability program anyways? And that kind of goes into the brochure that we're going to make for people of like really just laying it out. It can be, sustainability can just be such a behemoth because we deal with air quality and the natural environment and water protection and waste. It just covers so many things. So I very much appreciate that honesty of like, if we're not really getting this tangible, like if we can't give an elevator pitch on it,
Right.
likely residents can't either. So we're gonna create that brochure again to hand out for the ambassadors, but I think also just it's like good to have. We're doing website updates to come, just making it more,
User-friendly.
user-friendly and relatable to folks. And then we're also working with the communications department of like, should there be a mini video or something, like what ways can we just make it more clear to folks? So thank you for that feedback. It's super helpful.
I have a general question.
Yeah.
Just about like the things that residents get in the mail, like who decides how, like who can send those out and like where does the budget come from?
So for like the Englewood magazine,
Not the magazine, but like.
Our water bill.
Postcards?
Yeah, postcards more, or like, yeah.
so the postcards, it totally depends. So one example is we're currently doing a waste characterization study and we sent out some postcards to Englewood residents and that was fully paid for by our consultant in the state because they're doing the study for us. I think sometimes it could depend on if a department is doing an initiative. It's department specific, it comes out of their budget.
Okay.
And then I know for the utilities just started doing kind of this mini magazine to help get information out more too. And I believe that's through the communications budget. Same with the magazine.
Okay.
Perfect. And then the final one, Christine, I believe this was your question. The city council had talked about either removing or something around the nature parks. And then it's essentially these things to the right. So like nature looking activities in parks is what it was, which is
Is that the same thing as a nature playground?
yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so some of them are still on there? Cool.
Which metals?
Oh, that's good. Well, so
Which
that-
is three newsletters.
Oh, good. Okay. Any questions or any follow-ups to the follow-ups?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the next part is just, I added this in here just so you all could see it. It's the additional comments from that sustainability feedback form. We by no means are gonna go line by line through it. I just wanted to put them up there if there was anything that caught your eye, anything that you wanted to have a discussion on. And if not, that's peachy keen too. There were 3 slides of it.
Mel, random quick question. Does every citizen, every mailing address get the Englewood magazine?
Yes, yeah, even like multifamily. And I know that because my friend lives in an apartment in Englewood and he got it, so I can confirm.
Cool. Thanks.
That's good feedback. Nothing too earth-shattering.
Nothing too earth-shattering, no.
Any thoughts? Any discussion?
Great, well, they're there if you want to look at them. If anyone else ever has ideas that you want to pitch, I'm always open ears. And
Do we have the Emerald Ash Borer in Englewood?
I know they found it in Littleton, so pretty close.
Yep.
That was a confirmed case. I actually don't know if they confirmed a case in Englewood
Sorry, what was the question, the confirmed case of what?
of the emerald ash borer.
We have an ash, I need to get it looked at by Evan and treated and all that stuff. Anyway, moving on.
I will say it's probably only a matter of time. If Littleton has it, yeah, it's coming. Okay, great. So the next one is the quarterly sustainability newsletter. Hopefully you all saw it in the email, you just scrolled down for it. Any comments, edits, concerns, red flags?
Thought it was comprehensive.
Good, yeah.
Yes.
Good. Just one like format suggestion. I don't know if you can change it, but so at the very end, there's like the list of, I don't know if it's like services
Oh,
or
of the resources?
the resources. It's just that it says like the heading for the resources is on like the page or tab before that, before it starts.
So combine them?
We'll just page break.
Yeah, the page break, like maybe put the heading at the start of the list of them, just because like the first time I scrolled through it, I assume people are going through it fast. I was like, what are these things? And I had to go back to find the heading. Does that make sense?
No, that's really good feedback.
On that piece, Mel, are all of these links Is this resource library available on our Inglewood Engage sustainability page?
Like, can people find the same thing on the Engage page?
Yep.
Currently no, but they can be added, definitely.
I like this resource library.
Mhm.
I think it's great. And I think this is information that should be accessible for folks just navigating the Inglewood Engaged page, if possible.
Yeah.
And I have to ask a dumb question.
There's no such thing.
How do people get this? Do you have to ask for it?
Yeah, so we have on the Englewood Engage sustainability page,
Okay.
you can sign up specifically for the sustainability newsletter. Last I checked, we have like 730 people signed
Wow,
up. I
okay,
think.
great.
So it's
Great.
a
Oh, that's
pretty
good to know.
decent bit. It's grown a lot over a year. So those are people that decided to opt into the newsletter.
Something to file away. If you ever wanted to do a survey or research, those 750 people would be a great group of people to
Yes,
ask
yeah.
questions. But that should grow. I mean, we should promote that.
And it's been growing pretty
That's pretty
well,
good.
which is nice.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, scroll down all the way to the bottom, just a tiny wording change.
Oh yeah,
Right.
let
I just wonder
me
how-
find the email and then I'll share it.
It's like 1, 2, 3. Might be like a 2-page. I don't know how much paper it is.
No.
We're having a side conversation. I'll fill everybody in on what I was just saying. Chris Hargeth is putting together these, you've probably seen them in your utility bills, the little newsletters, they're little, and that's a place where you could, for instance, possibly put in, hey, are you interested in getting the sustainability newsletter? Rather than having to drill down into the Inglewood Engage, yada, yada, that would be a great opportunity just to say, here's the QR code, go around and request it, and then add it to the newsletter.
Or email
And we might not be that special, but another good place, actually, that is a really good idea, and to take it a step further, there's that new pay portal. You know what I speak of? Yeah, there's a new pay portal to pay your water bill, and now you can actually set it on auto pay.
Yep.
But now there's like more to it that you could actually, not just us, but anybody, set it up and say, do you want to receive these newsletters?
Yeah.
Or emails or what have you, so then you're just, people who don't want to put their water bill on auto pay are gonna see it literally every month and get the option.
Cool.
Sorry, Christine, that took me so long to find. You said all the way down?
Almost all the way down, there's a link to IRA, Inflation Reduction Act Savings Calculator.
This one?
Yeah, I would change that. Most people won't even know what that is. To click on it, maybe something like appliance upgrade savings calculator, or how much can you save by switching to clean, efficient appliances, or something like that, so people would be more likely to click on it.
I love that. This goes into the sustainability jargon. I'm like, everyone knows the IRA. That's all I hear about.
All your acronyms.
Change. Okay, I love that. Perfect. Anything else?
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, then we have city updates, which we have really exciting ones again, which is nice. So Eura Energy, who's doing our energy audit, Public Works and myself went to City Council, and we got the green light to include solar carports in our 2025 requested budget. But a key word of theirs requested. Nothing is guaranteed, but they kind of gave a good direction of like, yes, we would like to see that in the budget, which is really nice. And these carports, if implemented, would be at Broken T and at Pirates Cove. Yes, so two really high visible ones. We already talked about the cap of native plants, and then I'll get into this more at the next slide, but we got approval from City Council to apply for the energy efficiency and conservation. Oh, yeah, Mayor Sierra.
I was gonna let you finish, but I was gonna say we had our first pass at that draft last night, and there were no complaints or no rejection of the green lighting of the solar carport. So
Great.
just FYI.
That is awesome news. And then, yeah, we got approved to submit for the energy efficiency and conservation block grant with the state. Essentially, the state has grant funds out right now to give an applicant, local municipality, $80,000 for 3 years, or essentially $240,000 to help increase sustainability staff for local government. It can't go to current staff, it has to go to new. So we got approval from City Council to apply, and we submitted our application last week in partnership with the City of Sheridan. I will say it's a really competitive grant. I think we have a 50-50 chance of getting it, but the proposal that we did can be duplicated through the Dr. Cog grant, which I'll talk about at the very end. And then, so grants, we were awarded, I know we said we put our application in last time, but we were actually awarded $179,000 from Charge Ahead Colorado. All 5 of our proposed public charging station locations were approved. So we are currently in the process of working with Public Works and the state to get all the paperwork done. And we're hoping for a 2025 completion date. A lot of timeline extensions are because of Excel, so it does get pushed out. No, it's not us. We love blaming other people for that one. But yeah, we got it, which is really wonderful. We're going to hear about our Fleet Zero grant for the charging for our own private fleet sometime this month. We just haven't heard back yet. And like I just said, we submitted a $240,000 grant last week. Any questions there? I know I just went through 2 topics actually.
I have a question about the green workforce. I know you have the definitions, but does that include administrative positions too?
So the main focus we would be looking at is kind of like the HVAC, like the heat pump. There's a huge shortage of that in the Denver metro, but also in the state. It's kind of like a red alarm thing going on right now with the state of Colorado. So we said we'd use that fund to help fill that gap. Some really cool data that came out from the city and county of Denver. They found that Arapahoe County is one of 4 counties with the most electricians in the entire state. So it just makes sense for them to give us funds, meeting the people where they're at. And it's also very lovingly said that Sheridan and Englewood alone could like build a city because of all of our small businesses that work in construction and electrical. So we definitely highlighted that in our application. We're hoping to move that forward. But another one would be like electric vehicle technicians. We're kind of lacking in that area too as a state. And then natural resources stuff too. So like Groundwork Denver and Mile High kind of things.
Cool.
Mayor Sierra.
Hey Mel, I got a question regarding the charging stations. Has it been standardized across the US which one's going forward is going to be the standard connector? Or do we know what these 5 are going to be if it hasn't been done? I thought Tesla's charger was supposed to be the standard, but I don't know if that was like a final decision or not.
Yeah, from my knowledge, there is no standard yet, which is frustrating. A lot of people go with the CCS. That's a pretty good one to do just because a lot of the electric vehicles, any like American or basically any EV besides the Nissan Leaf, which is what I have, uses a CCS. But I do know that Tesla partnered with Ford, so I don't know if that's going to be a rapid one in the future. I don't know if anyone's like an EV nerd and kind of knows that, but.
No, but hopefully it's something like with Apple where they said, no, you have to start making all of your charging ports the same. You can't keep switching them.
Yes, and as an Android user, I just ate that up.
Yeah, that would be, I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting, but also very necessary in the direction that we're all headed.
There is some good news to that though. So say like all 5 of our chargers use CCS and then Tesla becomes standardized, all you have to do is replace that charge port. Everything else stays the same.
Okay.
So it's not like a huge overhaul. It's not that huge of a risk. It would be a cost to change them out. But then also CCS and Tesla have an adapter for cars to use. So it's not as scary, but it would be nice if it was all standardized.
Any way we can protect them from copper theft?
That's a great question. Sheridan has fast charging stations right now, and they haven't had any issues. And any of the other folks I talked to with them haven't had issues. I think it's hard to crack into, but I can ask Blink Charging. They're likely who we're going to go with. I can ask them if there's any precautions.
I don't know if there's any cameras in the areas that they would be put in, that they could be, hey, you're on camera kind of thing, at least a deterrent or something.
The most like not eyes on the street place that a level 2 charger would go into is Centennial Park. But yeah, let me dive into that because I don't have a great answer for you right now.
Have you seen them be a high theft item?
Copper.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that they were.
Okay.
The last exciting thing I have is just that Littleton is joining the Sustainable Business Partnership. They officially
Nice.
passed it. So Aiden's going full-time in September. And this is really exciting because it can be a huge Tri-Cities reach of the program. Littleton absolutely loved the program, and I think it's just because it's a no-nonsense initiative. So yeah.
Cool. It's good.
Another one, so we are really struggling with sustainability grant applications. We still just have one. This is something we struggled with the styrofoam grant with businesses too, which is hard getting money into people's hands. Let me tell you, that's one shocker I never knew would be a thing. We still have one, so something Mike and I were talking about is if folks want to take some of these flyers and like put them in your neighbor's mailbox or just get the word out, we would love to fund their projects. And there's no match, $1,000 upfront, they don't have to spot anything. And the other thing is Sustainability Commission members, you all can apply if you have ideas too, like you guys aren't off the list either.
So how many do you have?
We have budgeted $6,000 for the program. And we have one applicant that's using the full 1,000, so we have $5,000 left for the program. Mhm.
So
Good to know.
you're right, Colorado Escaping. Would this 1,000 go on top of the, if we wanted to do the lawn replacement program?
So it has to be a public benefit. So if you're doing like Zero Escape or Colorado Escaping your yard, that's more of a private benefit. We're looking for stuff like a little native seed library that folks can interact with.
I feel like I could make the argument that it is a public benefit.
Yes.
If you can make it.
Yeah.
It's our city attorneys that say yes or no to those things.
Have you been able to identify and communicate with all of, I want to say, presidents, chairperson, the neighborhood associations, like Cushing
Yes,
Park?
we did. So
Did you get out to
we,
all of them?
yes, Madeline gave a presentation to her neighborhood group,
Okay.
with some ideas for them too. We gave it out to some businesses because businesses can apply.
Yeah.
One idea that I personally love is the bike, like fix-it workshop thing that they can do in the front, like with the air pump and everything.
Yeah, with the little.
That's under $1,000 and they can get that in front of their business through their grant. So Aiden's helping too with the interaction with businesses.
Okay, great. Did you have any luck with my neighbor?
Madeline's reaching out.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know the legality of how any of this works, but what if there was like $100 that could go like directly into the pocket of the person who's organizing it? Because I think people aren't doing it because it's seemingly a lot of work. It might not be for some of these, but like if somebody was like, oh, I'm gonna get paid $100 or $2 to do this, that might incentivize people.
That is a great question for me to ask our attorney. Because I totally agree. I think sometimes, but even though it's free money, it's not free time, right? Like you still have to invest time in it. So I'll ask. So I think that would be a good incentive.
Neighborhood improvements 3,000, right?
Neighborhood
Up
improvement
to,
3, yeah.
Okay. I was just clarifying. And I was giving her a chance to humbly brag.
She's like, yeah, I know 3,000.
Okay.
I think a neat use for this would be planting in mini roundabouts, and that made me wonder, are those still in the hopper? Or,
They were,
Or not.
yeah, they're supposed to be done this year, right? On Dartmouth, you're talking about?
yeah, 3 of them?
Yeah. I don't know if she would.
Those are still in the works?
Last I
Wait, so
heard.
sorry, wait, what is in the works?
There's a, in theory, Dartmouth is taking, pulling out the lights and they're putting in roundabouts.
For like traffic calming?
Yeah, and then they're extending the curb so that you can't cut it, you know, right? Like, I read that, but I don't know really how that works, like engineering wise.
Mayor Seer has hand up.
But you're saying in the rounding, like, yeah, like, so that is a good idea, to use it to put something in the roundabouts that requires, no sprinklers.
That makes me wonder if the mini roundabouts are designed in a way that could accommodate a planting, or are they just like plain concrete? And I've seen ones in Littleton that I doubt have water right there, but one has a tree, some have really low water bushes. Could be a nice neighborhood thing to do, but only if they're still happening, and only if they're designed in a way that we could add some dirt and or plants to them.
I can ask Victor, the Director of Public Works, if that's happening.
I can answer the question.
Oh, perfect.
So they're still happening. So they're still happening. I think the construction is going to begin at the end of this year. And there's only going to be 2 now because there was a determination made that the Clarkson Dartmouth light is not that big of an issue. So you're going to see them on Dartmouth and Downing and Dartmouth and Logan. And to answer your question regarding whether or not plants or anything can be done in the median, I don't believe so, Christine. I believe the reason for it is we still need to allow fire trucks, emergency vehicles to go over the roundabout. And so I don't think that it's going to allow for any type of structure or art or anything like that in the middle.
That was a really good idea, though.
Thanks.
Great idea.
Keep those ideas coming and then apply.
Find out.
Okay, well, yes, please take flyers, be super annoying with them and put them all over the place. And then the last thing is, at least on my end, is the September meeting. So Christine had an awesome idea of having Dr. Cog come and talk about the huge $200 million grant that they were awarded. And they are coming in September to come talk about it. I went to grad school with Maddie, she's wonderful. And it is a huge, huge deal. Like, I just get shivers even thinking about it. And it'll be really transformational for building electrification and green workforce in the area. So that is teed up for September. But are there other topics that you all are like biting at the bit to hear about or chat through?
I just have a question / maybe suggestion.
Yes.
So going back to the slides with I think it's the newsletter with all of the different links that we liked. Has there ever been like an attempt for like little behavioral nudges to get people to do sustainability? So like I was just thinking of something really simple because I looked at that list and I was like, oh great, I can do you know, I can drop off my leaf somewhere or do something. But then I kept looking at it and thinking, well, this is just a lot. So I'm wondering if there could even be like in the magazine or something, like some sheet with like almost like a kid's thing with like a checklist. Like, here's 9 things you could do for sustainability. Can you, like, how many can you get? Like, maybe you've done none before, so you could like check one off. I don't know.
I love that.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
They did.
No, not for sustainability, but it was like to get kids reading, and then there was like a little like, check it out. Did you do this many days, this many hours? And you're supposed to bring it in. They get, you know, my kids did not.
Even be like a family thing, right? Like
Yeah.
the kids are like, Mom, let's take our leaves.
Man, you put it in like a
You could
9-year-old's
get
hands, and I can tell you they're gonna
A
nag when it's
sustainability
done.
award.
If there's a,
Fun.
yeah, if there's a sticker at the end of that.
Yeah.
What?
I feel like Logan, that could be.
Of some sort. Yes, I
Logan, that
agree.
could- Yeah, okay, perfect.
I wrote it down. We'll talk about it at our subcommittee meeting. And it'll make the cut.
You're so right too, because there's so many steps someone can take to increase sustainability, and it does get so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Even my friends who are in this field, they're like, I feel overwhelmed to even do like half of them, like taking it at a bite-sized piece is the best way to do it.
Well, yeah, we'll discuss it. I love the idea of like preparing for winter, like sustainability
Yeah.
checklist. And there's 5 things, but I would love the idea, like a carrot. Check all 5 off and like, sorry, email Mel.
Then Mel, you can like pre-record like a video of you doing like a cartwheel or something and then just send that back.
Yeah, something fun, a reward to checking off all, 4 or 5.
Okay, I truly mean this, I'm not lying. I love interacting with people about sustainability stuff, so like send it my way. This is the stuff I genuinely know. So
Ask for it.
I'll give them more than a cartwheel because I
They
actually.
got little
And you
bags.
got Trush upstairs, like this is just.
Sustainability
kind
Oh
of-
my gosh. Oh.
Oh,
we could
just
have-
spitballing. But to your point and to yours, you could start with this like checklist, whatever. And then, the reward, you're giving them something like puzzle pieces. So when it's all said and done, you have something, but you're like, God damn, where's the last piece? You know, chasing, like I want to finish this.
The last
So
one
it
is
all,
applying to the sustainability grant.
yeah.
Let me give you money.
Yeah, and then they get it done, and then it's a picture of Mel just like doing the cartwheel. And then
You did it.
make it top secret, so when they get their pieces, it's like, I don't know what this could possibly be.
I love the idea of making it like looping in youth, like kids,
Yeah.
because that's a driver. I would do it. My
My
3-year-old would eat that up. If she could get like badges or puzzle pieces and put it on the fridge or
Yeah.
something.
That's a
I'd
good
frame it.
Yeah, like a magnetic type of,
Yeah.
Kids love stickers,
Oh,
right?
heck,
Oh,
they
my-
did, yeah, that. and then-
Adults love stickers.
But you get like, everyone knows that there's something, all you gotta do is bag of these leaves. It's not that hard. You're like, okay, I mean, it's a lot of work, but you ready to make.
Yeah, TBD, we'll discuss, I'll add that to next month's standing, Mike, if you will.
We gotta give Mel a break. She's on feedback overload right
Yep.
now.
Never.
Just throwing stuff at her. Great ideas, y'all. Anything else?
Well, the sustainability communications subcommittee is posted, so can more than just the committee members join if Laura wanted to join us?
So only the committee can meet because you have to, at first I didn't understand it, but then you have to think like, right, if you have one more, you're almost having like a mini meeting and that's kind of out of
That's why
quorum.
it's posted.
But you all used to have Cara,
Right, I was just gonna say.
and Cara is no longer on the commission.
Okay.
So there's an open spot.
Yeah, so there's an open spot if Lana wanted to join
Laura, sorry.
and actually, no one even told you what the communication subcommittee was.
I didn't know there was one until just now.
Well, Logan is
Well,
the chair.
I'm sorry I was remote last month, I could have mentioned it. Yeah, we started this subcommittee, we saw a need to come together. We really wanted to get in the Inglewood magazine, just public education, public information. And so we formed a subcommittee, Patrick, Tracy, myself, and Cara, who was previously on the commission. And we determined that if we meet quarterly, we can hash out ideas to bring in front of this commission to vote on and approve to go in the magazine. But if we have other items we want to discuss, that's the forum to do so. And so I work with Mel to set those up quarterly before we need to have, things go to print.
Okay.
But we have an opening that is to you and anyone else who might want to be that 4th person.
Yeah,
But you don't have to make a decision right now, but
Okay,
think about it. Or yes.
I'll reach out.
Great.
Yeah.
Or just say yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have to
Reach out
vote.
to Logan and only Logan.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can figure that out.
Um,
I'll put a note to follow up with you.
I forgot to mention, I did that waste champion training.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, perfect. I actually hadn't known who was joining that. We don't get the roster of people that went, so that's really awesome.
Yeah, so thanks for putting that out there. It was very informative. I'm like, okay, every household should know this, but it was, the information that they had in the presentation, I mean, they had some basic, like, here's the things that you can recycle. I mean, a lot of stuff I had no idea.
Do we want to do some context setting a little bit? Because I think a lot of people don't know the waste.
So, you mean like the waste champion training, like what was it?
Yeah, so essentially,
You can get,
Englewood, Littleton, Sheridan, and Centennial are in that waste characterization study that hopefully you all know of by now. And they were in the phase of doing resident outreach and then also doing resident education, because that's a huge gap for waste stuff. Like the local government can only talk about waste so much, and getting people resident to resident is one of the most impactful ways. So our consultant who's doing this work set up a waste champion training, and then Tracy was awesome enough to go to it. So do you want to talk about what you learned?
It should be a badge.
You need a badge.
Girl Scouts have.
Well done.
It was primarily about like recycling and how much people don't know about recycling and what goes into it. I asked if we could go and take a tour of the recycling center, because I think that would give like a great insight into kind of how it all works. Because she said there are people in the recycling centers that go through every single thing. It blew my mind, like just the inner workings of what the recycling centers do, but I would love to see it. But then it was primarily like what you said, it's like getting us involved so we can spread. It's kind of like the compost ambassador thing. It's like if one person knows in the neighborhood, then you can kind of filter that out to your neighbors, because education is everything. But there was just like this basic like diagram of like, here are the things that you could recycle, here are the things you can't, and this is what you need to do with foil. You need to crumple it up and put it, I mean, there were just like basic things that like, we could put this on top of recycling bins. You know, it's like little things like that that would go a long way to help people and them, because I can't imagine what they deal with at the recycling centers. You know, you're trying to encourage more, it's like, make it easier and more understandable of, you know, what are the best approaches to it.
Tracy, could something like that be incorporated in our dutiful participation at public events? So in other words, if we have a
Yes.
sustainability table, I like that because it's concrete.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I could say, yeah, I'm on sustainability and this is the kind of stuff we do, but no offense to anybody, it's esoteric, it's out there. Whereas if somebody says, what are you allowed to recycle?
Right.
And somebody says this and not that. That'd be cool if we could integrate that somehow.
Yeah.
So that we could say, for example, let's talk about recycling. Something we ought to think about.
Yeah, and you can even take like the things you can touch there. That's an easy one, right? You got this thing. Which ones can you recycle? Get it right. There's a prize.
Yeah, have
I
a
think
display.
you put a
That's
big
brilliant.
bin out
I
of
like
stuff
that.
that they should recycle or can't recycle, which ones can, and which ones
There you
can't.
go.
Yeah, or sort the bin. Sort the bin the fastest in 30 seconds.
We actually did that activity in an eco camp that we ran in
Did it go
AmeriCorps, and kids loved it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. See, we could do that at schools.
Maybe that's something we could figure out. Not tonight, but
I'll add it.
show and tell, you know what I mean? It's something tactile, so that you can say, oh, that's the bin, this is my aluminum foil, I can put it in there.
They did used to put that on the recycle bins, because I remember reading it once, and I'm like, oh, you cannot recycle pizza boxes.
No.
Never knew. But it was from the bin that I read it, and I was like,
But you can compost them.
yeah,
Well-
see, didn't know that either.
And the numbers in the triangle, okay? A lot of those you can't recycle.
Yeah, the
And
recycle
yet
symbol
you
doesn't
look at
say
it and you
recycle.
go, oh, that must be recycled.
Yeah,
Right.
that whole symbol got, is not used
Yeah.
properly.
I mean, we're in 2024, really, like our recycling system could be so much better, so.
So much opportunity.
Good job for you, good job for going.
Oh, yeah, I was
Well, I
excited to
smell-
learn more.
Come up
so.
with a game plan.
Emphasis on game.
No, but I like hands-on show and tell. This is what we're talking about.
It was funny though, at the end of the training, people were like,
Okay.
saying like, do we get paid for this? I'm like, oh my gosh, our payment is the knowledge that we just got from this training. Sorry, I got really annoyed with.
Anything else on the September meeting? Sounds like it's gonna be plenty. Okay, we'll move on to public forum, and we have one member of the public here. Sir, you have the floor. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Samuel Bonjur once again. You guys were just talking about recycling and composting and such, and I'm building a startup that helps people, I guess, appropriately reduce waste and such. And so I was hoping I'd come up to you guys, to talk to you guys, and get some feedback and such, and just connect mainly.
Awesome.
Just see how it goes from here, I guess. Yeah.
Great, tell us about it.
So yeah, I'm trying to allow people to pick up waste using their own vehicles and then more appropriately dispose of such waste. And I was like trying to, since you guys have these sustainable mindsets, I think it's important to work together and such. If that be the case.
Do you have a name for it?
It's called Trush 2.
Trush too?
Yeah, it's Trush, Trush.
Trush and then two, like the
No,
number.
just Trush.
Oh, Trush, got it.
It's called Trush 2 also. But yeah, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you guys.
So tell us more. I mean, how is this gonna work?
So I guess it's pretty much I built a prototype app that allows people to pick up waste using their own vehicles. So you can go on the app itself and then say, I would like my compostables, recyclables to be picked up. And then, for example, one of you guys could drive over, pick it up, and then bring it to a not facility itself, but a community drop-off point, I would say.
Let me get your information.
Do we have any community drop-off locations in the area?
No, that's why I was hoping I could come to Englewood
Yeah.
and see if this would make even sense to bring it to Englewood and
Yeah.
such. I can even work with y'all on such
It does make sense.
So I'd go on the app,
Sir.
I'd see my neighbor a few blocks down has some old lead paint, used oil, composting, et cetera, whatever they have. Maybe contact them, or does it go through the app and then go?
It would go pretty much on the app. You could have you push compost, or right now I don't have any hard to recycle items, but you could do, if that would be the case, I would do hard to recycle.
Sure.
And then you could have some guy drive to you, pick it up, and then bring it to where it needs to be appropriately located and such.
So does the driver get paid by picking them up?
And then pretty much it's kind of like Uber in the case where the funds come to me, then I pay the driver when they push the payout.
Like Uber. It's pretty.
Is this up and running, or is it in the concept phase?
So this is a startup phase. So right now I'm doing the community outreach and then going through the funding phase after this. I've been working with the CSU's venture validator team, and they've been helping me out with that. So, but it's still my own process. Still, I have to go through it my own stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Do you think you'll be able to optimize the routes for the drivers too?
I would hope so. As it's me right now, I had to build the app kind of by myself. I hope over time it's going to have other team members that are probably smarter than me to work together and keep.
Yes, it's tough to think of all the pitfalls and like, wait, what if this happens? Okay, now this one.
But I'm focusing on general areas first, like within these communities, rather than bringing in someone from Highlands Ranch driving to Denver, for example. Like focus on maybe Lakewood or Englewood or Aurora, small areas before such. Yeah, that's my focus.
I feel like it'd be nicer to pick up trash than people, you know?
Oh, for the Uber thing?
Yeah, I like it better, a lot better.
Probably less money too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that what she's alluding to is like if there's been any, sorry, I'm tired. If there's been any, if you've looked into like the payoff between getting that recycled versus the impacts of fossil fuels burning for the cars that are picking it up.
Yeah, so I was focusing more on these small areas, and that's why I think it wouldn't, so you wouldn't have to drive so far. So these community, I would say these drop-off points are pretty much for the big hauling truck to come pick it up, right? And so having all these cars within the community, bring it here, and then one big truck, instead of driving to all these houses individually, comes to this drop-off point, picks up it, and then takes it away.
Yeah, you're trading the big, huge truck in for smaller ones, but they're gonna leave less of an impact, the smaller
So,
cars.
Due to,
Because like Uber, you could, sorry to interrupt you.
I was thinking due to it being in a smaller space too, and focusing
Yeah.
on more of these small spaces rather than having to drive so far too.
The alleys.
Seems like, yeah, that could be viable,
Hot point.
especially for stuff like hazardous waste that people often don't know what to do
Yeah.
with and that they don't, have a meter or something.
I have
So
seen
like once or twice.
Batteries alone. Think about batteries.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, which is tricky because we have that currently in Inglewood. We currently have a program where we can go drop off things like hazardous waste, and it's year-round now.
You don't even
Is
have
it-
to
don't
drop
even
it off,
have
they
to
come to
drive.
your door.
So there's a bit of a conflict in that particular space, but when it comes to trash and maybe composting or recycling, maybe there's an area for that.
I guess I'm a little confused on the trash aspect, because wouldn't everyone already have a trash service?
It's in the case that it's just bringing another alternative waste service that focuses mainly on recyclables and compostables.
Oh, so it is
Two.
trash, it's recycling and compost.
And I guess there is landfill, but I'm trying to focus it and try to divert most waste toward recyclables and composting.
If this group could do one thing to help you, what would you want it to be?
I would hope I can, if it's all right, I don't feel like going through right now, if it's all right.
You want to give a presentation?
If that's all right.
Yeah.
I would like to be more actually clear and have clarity and such.
Do you want, can we put that on the September agenda?
Is that all right?
Yeah.
It's all right with y'all. I didn't want to speak out.
What's the group feel like?
I'd love to see, yeah, something tangible that you could present and walk us through, even if it's the application or the process as an end user or as a member.
I'm having difficulty seeing the whole picture of this, so yeah, that is great.
Or if you have slides or a presentation, you can send it to Mel, she can circulate
Right.
that. If you don't want to have to come back to this forum again next month, you can circulate it through us.
I'm a
Never be the case.
time maniac, and
I hear you.
this meeting's already taken over an hour, so
Yes, sir.
not to be disrespectful, if we wanted a presentation, we'd try to integrate it into our agenda. So we could say, okay, you got 12 minutes, or you got so much time to work with,
Yes, sir.
take it away.
Yes, sir.
So I think we would be receptive to listening and learning.
That's all right.
I don't know that right now's the opportune time for that presentation,
I agree.
but I think in spirit, we like what you're talking about, but there's a lot of details
Yes, sir.
that we would need to understand better.
I agree. If it's all
Okay.
right, could I come back and speak to y'all more?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, that'd be great, man.
Thanks for
Thank you.
coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay,
You.
all right, are there any other items?
Wrap it up.
If not, I move we adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Y'all, this might be the shortest meeting we've
Oh,
ever
it's
had. Bye, Mayor, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Actually,
Bye, Mayor.
usually I like
I will, back up for